Causes of the Russian Revolution. As we see, so what do y'all think? What do you know about Russia? Can somebody answer? It's big. Would you live there, Denise? Huh? Why not?
I think Russia is more stricter.
It's more stricter. Yeah, you're right. You're right. A lot of people don't have a say there. That's what we're going to learn and stuff. Even today, a lot of people don't have a say. That's what we're going to learn, how peasants used to live. Do y'all know what peasants are? What are peasants, Jesse?
Homeless.
Yeah, homeless. What else? Poor people. Exactly. Very well. And you'll see how that, we're going to learn all this. That was one of the causes of the Russian Revolution. A lot of homeless people were being mistreated, were being beaten. People owned their own houses and land, and they were taken away from them. Owned it of their own, and they just took it. The government, whoever was ruler, took it. We're going to learn all that. Me and Ms. Lennox is going to teach y'all all that. So we're going to do the introductory on the Russian Revolution. These are the timeline and events. From 1914, as we know, was the start of World War I, right? And then we're going to see February, the revolution overthrows the Czarists. Do y'all know what Caesar is? What a Czar is? Please get y'all notes out. Y'all going to have to take notes on some of y'all definitions. So a Caesar is the meaning of Caesar as an emperor, specifically the ruler of Russia until the 1917 revolution. This was your Caesar, Mr. Nicholas II. So please write this definition down. Y'all going to need that. These things are going to be in your regions. These words are very well, and you have to read, you have to write down these words and stuff as we go, okay? So y'all know what we're talking about in y'all readings and things like that. When we reading together, y'all know the definitions. If y'all can take a snapshot, please do so. But make sure y'all have y'all records, okay? So the meaning of Caesar, that's another independent ruler with no overlord who could be either a king of one nation or people. A Caesar is a captain, big boy, or big shot. He the big boy of Russia. This was the big boy of Russia, Mr. Nicholas II. He used to walk around and stuff and take your jewelry from you. I could take his headphones right off his head. He couldn't say a word, or he'd be killed. That's how they'll do in Russia. This is Mr. Nicholas II. He was the last emperor of Russia. He ruled from 1894 until his abdication in 1917. He was a member of the Romanov dynasty and inherited the throne of a time of growing social and political unrest in Russia. Nicholas II was known for his autocratic rule, failed military campaigns, and indifference to the suffering of the Russian people. His inability to address the economic and social challenges facing the country contributed significantly to the outbreak of the Russian Revolution, which ultimately led to his downfall and the end of the Romanov dynasty. So he was so much in power, he got too power struck. That's what happened when you get too power struck. You acting like you got rule over somebody and nobody else got a say. And nothing going on, you know it all. People started getting distraught because of it. Then he started losing money, things started happening. And here goes some more of your words you're going to be learning about also. All right, what's up with this? So, Bolsheviks. Please write down I'm going to let y'all write down y'all vocabulary word. A Bolsheviks is a member of a wing of Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party, which led by Vladimir Lenin, seized control of the government in Russia October 1917 and became the dominant political power. You can see that, Aiden? We gonna read this, all right? Everybody have a paper? So please turn to the second sheet. We gonna read what Ms. Lennox and stuff we prepared for y'all and the causes of the Russian Revolution. Denise, would you like to start off the read for me? Okay, I'll start off the read, okay? It's early in the morning, we had a long weekend, I'm tired too. But we gotta get up and we gotta work, okay? We know we have responsibilities, okay? We wanna make it in this world and we don't want nobody being rules over us, all right? You heard? So we're gonna start off. Introduction. Our objective today is describe the causes of the Russian Revolution. Read the letter below and answer the questions that follow. Letter to Russian War Minister Alexander Kerensky from soldiers fighting in World War I, August 18, 1917. Mr. War Minister, we soldiers from various regiments ask you to end the war and its bloodshed at any cost. If this is not done, then believe us when we say that we will take our weapons and head out of our own hearts, our own homes, to save our fathers, mothers, wives, and children from death by starvation, which is near. And if we cannot save them, then we'd rather die with them in our native lands than be killed, poisoned, or frozen to death somewhere and cast into the earth like a dog. Remember that all your threats about the death penalty and discipline and the eloquent words of our orators will cease to have any effect on us, then it will be too late. You know we are all tired, both at the front and the rear, and we cannot endure another autumn and winter, nor do we have any wish to. For a second time, we ask you, Mr. War Minister, put an end to the slaughter. Only by doing this can you keep the enemy from penetrating deep inside Russia and save us both from this invasion and from starvation. This is what the soldiers had wrote to their war minister back in 1917 of August. So who wrote this? That's the question. Who wrote this? Y'all was listening.
The soldiers?
Yes. So that's what you would write in the first box. Did y'all write y'all word? Y'all finished? So I can turn to it? I'm gonna have to get y'all, I'm gonna print out some of these words for you. They were the Soviets. These were the Soviets that was talking. The Soviets is an elected local district or national council in the former Soviet Union, a revolutionary council of workers or peasants in Russia before 1917. A citizen of former Soviet Union in 1912, Lenin, leading a very small minority, formed distinct Bolshevik organization decisively, although not formally, splitting the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party. So he split people. He split people and divided them. He did a divide and conquer. He divided people, made people fight each other and do other things and stuff to constrain control. So who was the audience in this letter? Who was the soldiers writing to?
The one minister.
Very good. Please write that. When was this letter written? What was happening at that time?
August 18, 1917.
Yeah, and what was happening at that time?
World War I.
Very good, excellent, good girl. That's what I'm talking about. Why was this letter written? Wake up, fellas, come on. This is the second page. We right here, man. We right here. What was this letter written? Why was this letter written? We on number 4 there. Why was this war written? I want y'all to pair up in two. Get in y'all groups of two. Y'all got two right here. Two right here. Pair up with Adrian, please. And Denise, you can pair up with Denise before you know. Because you're going to do our Think, Pair, Share review on Russia. I want y'all to look at a video while y'all get ready to do this. On the Russian Revolution. You get it on. Don't look like it's working. See if I can get it on the thing. Sorry, the computer is slow. But when you think, pair, share, please think in the space below. Write down anything you know about Russia. So what did you know about Russia? You know Russia is a big country, right? And that's what you will write down right here. On this page, on your third page, you know Russia is a big country. Everybody don't have the same rights. Everybody are treated differently. What you see today when you hear about Russia, how they attacking Ukraine and other countries. Do you like that? Do you like what you hear today? What Vladimir Putin is doing and stuff to hurt the countries? How much money is being taken from America? Do y'all like that? That's things y'all can write down. Pair up with your partner and talk about it. I give y'all 3 minutes. I told you, go ahead and pair up with Denise. She'll work with you. I understand if you want to work alone, you can go ahead. What you know about Russia? You don't know nothing? You don't hear nothing on the news? You don't look at the news? Yeah. I'm trying to get this video up for y'all. I put on the thing. There it goes.
The Russian Revolution. The year is 1914. World War I had begun, and Russia was at war with Germany. The working class and the peasants make up the Russian army. However, they are not well equipped or trained for the battles to come. The year is now 1917. Millions of Russians had been either killed or wounded. The Russian people were angry at Tsar Nicholas II for getting Russia into the war, and several other reasons, including the Tsar taking personal command of the army, Rasputin's power over the royal family, food shortages, and growing political opposition. The first revolution came about in February 1917 on the Julian calendar in Petrograd, which was the capital of Imperial Russia. Demonstrators protested about the lack of bread due to rationing and were soon joined by striking workers. The army was called upon to suppress the uprising. Several protesters were shot and killed by the soldiers.
You see what I'm saying? There was a lot of hunger going on. They stopped people from eating, treated people like they were slaves, beat up people who did own something, and took it away. The whole army just took it away and stuff like that. If you turn to page 3, please turn to page 3 of y'all booklet. I'll let y'all finish looking at it.
However, many refused to open fire. The army, too, it seemed, had mutinied against the Tsar. The Petrograd Soviet was the city council for workers and soldiers. Now, more and more workers and soldiers elected people to it in order to represent their demands. The Tsar abdicated, bringing an end to the Tsarist autocracy, and a new government took over. This This government was run by two political parties, the Petrograd Soviet and the Provisional Government. The Bolshevik Revolution. The Provisional Government was also unpopular. It made the decision to remain in the war and failed to give land to the peasants. Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks were a faction of the Marxist Russian Social Democratic Labor Party and eventually became the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. He had a simple slogan which would appeal to the people and the Petrograd Soviet: peace, bread, and land. Peace, the end of Russia's involvement in World War I. Bread, solving food shortages. And land, which would go to the peasants. He also stated all power to the Soviets, meaning that he would seize power in the name of the Soviet. On November 6 and 7, 1917, or October 24 and 25 on the Julian calendar, the Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, launched a coup d'etat against the Provisional Government. They stormed the Winter Palace and arrested the Provisional Government, putting themselves in charge of Russia's government. After the revolution, the Bolshevik government exited the war by signing a peace treaty with Germany called the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. A civil war would erupt in 1918 by those who were against the new Bolshevik government, the White Army, and the
Right. I'm glad y'all got to see that. Do y'all have any questions? Any questions? Do y'all understand what's going on with the Russian Revolution, how it all began so far? This was the rise of communism. Do y'all all know what communism is? Huh? Do anybody know the definition of communism? Maybe y'all can read this for me. That's the definition. What is communism? Can y'all see that? Please write it down. This is another one of y'all vocabulary words that's very important to know what communism is. Please don't make me call y'all out. Please, somebody read.
Communism is an economic
Ideology.
ideology that advocates for a classless society in which all property and wealth are communal, owned instead of being owned by individuals.
Yeah. So our synonym for that, shares of the core concept of collective ownership and control of the economy, but may differ in the degree of state involvement and the methods used to achieve it. So that means they took the property. They took property and wealth from people and stuff who worked hard for it. Maybe it was inherited from generations. They took it all. If your grandmother or grandfather left your mother and father something to give to you, you didn't have it anymore. The military took it. Money and everything. This is the image that was shown for communism. Antonym for communism is capitalism. Do anybody know what capitalism is? Start with a D. There's another word for capitalism. What America say they are. Democratic. Democracy. Capitalism isn't. Yeah? Yeah, you did? I guess the yogurt was in your mouth. I couldn't hear you. It's all good. We all make mistakes. There are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. That's what Vladimir Lenin said. There are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. So he feel like things wasn't getting done appropriately in enough time. He said there are decades where nothing happened. Tens of years, nothing happened. Then there's decades now where we're in war. All this is going on. I don't know if he was for the good or the bad, but I have to give y'all words. But here go the involvement of the Bolsheviks. You see, Vladimir Lenin was a leader of the Bolshevik Party. Leon Trotsky, he was the prominent Bolshevik revolutionary. And then Joseph Stalin was the Bolshevik politician and future leader of the Soviet Union. So that's how the sequence went. These are your peasants. Right here. What about the people of Russia? Most Russians were part of the working class or peasants, lower class of society. They had little pay, often went little or no food, had few if any rights, very difficult lives. They was living like refugees in their own country. They didn't have no rights or nothing. Do you feel like that sometimes? Sometimes I feel like that in America today. Sometimes I feel like I don't have no say. I live in a low-income neighborhood. I live in an urban neighborhood all my life.
What's something I think is that if the lower classes have a home, like the soldiers have to live with them.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm. The Russian soldiers either had to live with them or they took over their homes. And they was the ones that was telling the people what to do in their own homes. Imagine me busting up in your house and stuff, telling you what to go, telling you and your parents what to do in their house. That'd just be preposterous. A man would die for that. Any man that have their own home and stuff with their family and stuff, they gonna fight for what they need. That's why a lot of people died. This is the scale, the cooperative data. Look at this. If y'all look in stuff places, the indicator, the GDP per capita in 1913, Russia had 1,488 rubles. In Western Europe, there was 3,473 francs. The literacy rate, the people that could read in 1897, only 21% in Russia could read. Okay? 88% had a literacy rate in Western Europe. They doing comparative data to how things went down and stuff during World War I in these countries. And infantry mortality rate, the kids that was killed in 1913, little babies, there was 269 that were killed per 1,000 lives that was given. So imagine that, a woman giving birth and having her baby killed. Maybe because she was a little girl or something, or maybe because the child didn't come out right. As we've learned with DNA and RNA. Your generation, you know, that's back in that time and stuff. If you had if a woman had too many females, they would kill. They would kill them. Life expectancy in 1913 was 41 years old in Russia. In Western Europe, it was 51 years old. Agricultural labor force in 1913 was 82%. That's why I said 82% of Russians had to work, were forced to work in labor. They had to do them buildings and stuff. They were treated as slaves. And 42% only had to do it in Western Europe. The February and October revolutions. The first stage of the Russian Revolution occurring in February 1917, which led to the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II and the establishment of a provisional government. In October and during the revolution, the second and more radical stage of the Russian Revolution, led by Bolsheviks under Vladimir Lenin in October 1917, it resulted in the overthrow of the provisional government and the establishment of the Soviet communist regime. So we know the causes of the Russian Revolution of 1917 was more harder, complex, and multifaceted event. It was driven by a combination of political, economic, and social factors. Understanding the underlying causes that led to this historic uprising is crucial for contextualizing the profound impact it had on Russia and the world. I want y'all to start working on your independent practice with this. Start on page 3. Y'all will read it. Y'all can read it as groups in your pairs and answer the questions together, or you can do it more independently. This will be graded by the end of the week, because we're going to be going through more of this as me and Ms. Lennox try to get more ways for y'all to understand this better. We have questions in the back of this that's on the Regents exam also. So this is very important information that we're trying to give y'all to prepare yourselves for y'all Regents in June. Okay? I thank Ms. Lennox for all her help and love and stuff throughout all she did through our career. I thank you for being my cooperative teacher, Ms. Lennox.
You're welcome, Mr. Nesbitt.
Here go y'all words and stuff like that. I came up with some Freya model. If y'all want to write down it, y'all can write it down. But I have a puzzle book for y'all. I have a puzzle for y'all to do. But I want y'all to write down these words and definitions, because it's very important that y'all notice when y'all reading them long essays during the Regents. I'll give out the sheets for you. That's for y'all to take home. These are the Russian Revolution word searches. You don't like crossword puzzles, Aiden?
Oh, I really don't like this one.
Because of the flag?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what they gave us. You can exit out. Try to white it out. You got white out at home? Try to white it out and exit out, okay? I'm sorry if you got offensive. But this is what we learning about. That's what they held and stuff like that in history. Good job, at least you already started it. That's what I'm talking about. But tomorrow I have y'all on definitions with y'all meanings and stuff for that. That's y'all puzzles to take home and do and stuff like that. Y'all need these words. These words is very important for y'all to know when y'all reading them long essays during the Regents exam. As you can see, words like Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR, the Union of Soviet Social Republics, or Soviet Union, was the first country to form a government based on the system known as communism. So this existed from 1922 to 1991. They started this after the World War, the Soviet Union. And you see the Russian Republic was by far the largest of 15 republics that made up the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. The government of the Soviet Union controlled parts of life in the country. They controlled parts of people's lives. The people were not allowed to speak. They couldn't speak openly to oppose the government. Just like we could say, I don't like this person, I don't like that person running for me for president. They couldn't say nothing. They'd get shot up. They'd get killed. During the late 1920s and 30s, the government even put a stop to free artistic expression. People couldn't even draw nothing anymore. Like you'll see the graffiti on the walls and stuff out here in Brooklyn. They couldn't do that. You drew something and messed up that flag. If I was to put an X or something on that flag and stuff, they would kill you. They would kill you. Artists and writers were allowed to say only good things about the Soviet system. They could only talk good about them. The government put many artists and writers in prison. All of us left the country. Some people just left the country, said they couldn't take it no more. That's why a lot of people came to America. A lot of people come to America to get freedom. Emancipation Manifesto. The Emancipation Manifesto, manifesto was issued by the Russian Emperor Alexander II that accompanied 17 legislative acts that freed the serfs of the Russian Empire. You see? And the Emancipation Manifesto and the defeat in the Crimean War, a perioptible change in public opinion, and the increasing number and violence of peasant revolts has shown Alexander, who became Caesar during the war, that only through reform of Russia's antiquated social structure will put the nation on an equal footing with the Western powers. They was trying to compare themselves with Western Europe. And in order to be equal, they had to get the rights of the people. They had to do things more better for the people. There was more violence between them and the peasants. They was beating up more of the people that was working. So they was getting less done. How could you get more done if you hurting people and you killing them? The more you kill, the less you're gonna have to labor. That's it for my lesson for now. Do y'all have any questions, students? You see that? That's what I was telling you, Aiden. That's a logo representing the economic challenges and inequalities that contribute to the unrest leading up to the Russian Revolution. They have put that out leading up to the Russian Revolution. That's what they did. That's why you see that flag. I don't like it neither. I would burn it up. You killed a lot of people, millions of people. And in our booklet, it would show that. Millions of people were killed. Didn't have a right to say nothing. They're killing your own child, your own little baby. You hold it in your arms. Imagine a mother holding their baby in her arms and the military take it and kill them. It's very heartbreaking just to think about it. But thank y'all for listening, students. Please finish y'all booklets. The sooner we finish, the more we can move on to our next topic, okay? Because we got a lot to do. We got a lot to make up before y'all Regents exams. Thank y'all for everything.